Okay, welcome back to another episode of Becoming an Online Sales Queen. And today I am joined by the amazing Rebecca. I'm going to get Rebecca to introduce herself in a minute, but just to give you a heads up about what this conversation is going to give you, our loyal listeners, thank you so much for being here, is we're going to unpack customer journey, and we're going to do it from the angle of visibility and how the fact that customer journey is not necessarily linear, and people can arrive into your business customer journey on any day of the week, any time of the day. They can arrive from a multitude of different places. So we're going to talk about why it's so important to be visible and how that visibility can turn into inquiries, turn into clients, and all the things that I know that you want in your business. So let's kick us off with a lovely introduction. I will not be able to do this justice. Rebecca is an amazing client. She's in my mastermind. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's got 15 years experience in marketing. Rebecca, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, hello everyone, and Rachel, thank you so much for allowing me to appear on your podcast. I know you have a fantastic audience, so I'm really glad and grateful to be here. So yeah, my name's Rebecca. I'm a digital marketing specialist or guru, your digital marketing queen. And I've been doing digital marketing for over 15 years within a corporate environment. But what that has given me is a wealth of experience to understand the customer journey, like Rachel just discussed, and the different nuances that come with that, from visibility right through to somebody becoming your client or your sales. And also the different things you need to do to make sure that you're hitting those people at the right time with the right content, and showing them how wonderful you are, whatever your product or your service is.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. So thank you for a lovely intro. So let's kick off by talking about the little experiment that I did, because I know when I first shared that experiment with you, we were in a room, weren't we, of all the mastermind girlies, and when I said what I said, I kind of expected to split the room, divide opinion a little bit. And just so everybody has the context of what I'm talking about, I shared that I did an experiment where I started to get visible like up to 7 times a day. I started using different platforms. I started using different schedulers. I started chopping up my long form video, including my podcast, to make sure that I could put content out on multiple platforms multiple times a day. And I know that so many people are like, oh, doesn't that make you annoying? If you're always in someone's feed, isn't it a bit too much? And my answer to that is, well, no, because visibility is king right now. Like not everybody sees every post that we put out. Sometimes we might put a post out and only 10-15% of our audience are actually going to see it. So when I said to you, Rebecca, in that room, my recommendation from my little experiment is that we all get visible at least 7 times a day, you were one of the ones that wasn't phased. So can you tell me, what was your thought process when you heard me say it? How do you, as an experienced marketer, align with that advice?
Yeah, so I can completely understand why some people were really phased by that. Especially as I have a lot of my clients coming to me saying, I don't like social media. I don't want to be in front of a camera. I find it really hard to show up, and put my content out. But actually, when you read, because you break things down so well, Rach, when you broke down that it could be a post, a carousel, which is 2, then it goes to your story, which is another 2. That could then go to your Facebook, and potentially your TikTok or your Pinterest. I felt like, okay, that's already 6 or 7 places, right? And I know that I then go maybe into WhatsApp, and there's different communities that I will post my content into. And you also explained about the different types of tools that you can use to repurpose your content. And as a marketeer, that's massive for me because I'm data driven. So I'm always going to look at the data and not always create new content. I'm going to repurpose content that's worked in the past. So what's got the best engagement, where did you really see that people got value from your content? Use it again, because like you said, the algorithm isn't going to put everything in, it's going to put it in front of a very small percentage of your audience. So don't be in the fear of, oh, I posted that last week and everyone's going to get bored of it, because there's a high percentage that a lot of people didn't see it. So that's why it didn't faze me, Rach. And I just thought, actually, when you position it like that, though, once you can get your head around that, it actually helps you, rather than it being a burden of, oh, I've got to post to 7 different places.
Yeah, for sure. And like, one of the things that made me even go off and start testing that in the first place is hearing people talk about their engagement is tanking, their likes and their comments are like nowhere near what they used to be. And it's just really hard to get share of voice and get in front of the right people. I started to think, well, I don't even believe that likes and comments are what really drives our sales at the moment, because I've had a lot of people come and work with me, and their first DM that comes into my inbox obviously makes me want to go and have a look at, oh, who is this person? I wonder how long I've known them for. Like, let me go and have a look at their profile. And there's been quite a few people that don't even follow me. Now, that just blows my mind, because everything that we know about marketing is get visible, create a connection, and then nurture them, and then they buy from you. And what I was seeing is, well, where's the nurture? They don't even follow me. And so that sent me off on this little trail of, well, what about impressions? I think impressions are king right now. Do you see that in the data that you look at? Like, it's all about visibility.
100%, Rach. And we've had some discussions around what platforms you use for certain things. So I think when we're looking at our data as well, we have to be very intentful in what content and what purpose each channel serves. So a lot of us, especially as business owners who may not have teams, we spread ourselves too thin, and that's what can make us overwhelmed, right? Because we think, I have to be on every single platform. But that's not the case. You go to the platforms where your ideal audience are, and to the people that you want to sell to. And as part of that, you are then also going to go to the platforms that give you visibility, and one where you can nurture that audience and have that engagement. So the reason why that started to be a thing for me is because I started to see a lot more visibility on TikTok. I'd get a lot more views. I'd get a lot more exposure especially to a new audience versus my existing audience, which were on Instagram. So that then started to become more of my nurture platform versus my exposure or visibility platform. So I have seen that happen a lot, Rach, and that's the kind of shift I've seen for my social media strategy.
Yeah. And like, for repurposing, one thing that keeps blowing my mind actually is I repurpose a lot of content like you do, and you would think that the average human would react in a similar way to a piece of content. But what I'm seeing is such a massive difference in the amount of views and the level of engagement across platform. So I can post a video on Instagram that also goes on to TikTok, which also goes on to YouTube Shorts, which also goes over onto my Pinterest. And the number of views that I get is so wildly different. The behavior is so wildly different. I think it would be a really good experiment for a lot of our listeners to do, to really just start to, you don't have to sign yourself up forevermore that I'm going to go on TikTok and that's going to be where I hang out now. And I'm going to, put myself on all these other platforms because I know how overwhelming that can feel. But just go and do a trial for a week. Just go and try it out and see what happens. And I know it will probably blow your mind too. Do you see that as well? Do you see one video doing really well in one place, but then the exact same video doing something very different on another platform?
100%, Rachel. And that's why I think the data is really important, and it's really important for you to test content, test, different formats, different times of day. on different platforms. And I know that might feel a little bit overwhelming, but doing the work up front is really going to help feed your plan and your strategy and make things a lot easier in the future.
Yeah.
So a good example is I would add a carousel potentially on Instagram, and I see that doing really well. But if I put that on TikTok, I wouldn't get as many views with that, because, you know, it likes the video content, it likes that raw, you know, video stuff. So that's why I'm always talk to my clients about understanding your data, testing what types of tactics and formats work best in individual platforms as well. And then just keep running with that. Don't overthink it. You know, the data's right in front of you. People look at my account at this time of day, they really like this type of content, and this is what works. Just keep doing that. And, you know, you'll do some testing here and there, above and beyond that, but just go with what works.
Yeah. And so how many pieces of content on a new platform would you suggest makes up a good test?
So depending on the platform, so let's say we was to go for Instagram, for example, I would say probably 2 or 3, no more than that, because with testing, and even 2 is probably good, because sometimes with testing you might not know which one is working better than the other. So, you know, you do really well with this, Rach, when you do your trial reels, right? Put a reel out, see what the trial reel does versus the you know, the real one. Or do a carousel, but maybe test different call to actions, or doing them at different times of day. I think it's just about having a little plan where you can say, right, I want to test this format, but I want to understand, does this imagery work better? Does this messaging work better? Just so you can really get an understanding of your audience, what type of content that really resonates with them, you know, and helping with them with their challenge or their pain point.
Yeah. I think one of the big lessons that I've learned over the years with testing is that I am not the audience. So like, it's not what I like that matters. And it's funny, I was speaking to Alex, who does my ads, the other day, and she said, trust me, I'm going to try some ugly ads. And I went, ugly? I don't want ugly ads. And she said, no, trust me, Rach, like sometimes it's the ugly ads that do the best. And it's a big reminder that just because, you know, we like it a certain way, that isn't reflective of what would trigger our audience to take action. So testing is vital, you know, testing different hooks. You might have one hook that's, you know, the back end of the post might be the same, but you might have one hook that's very controversial and another hook for the same post that could be more relatable, more fun, more, you know, like engaging. And it would be really, really insightful to test that on your platform. And just like you say, put 2 or 3 posts side by side and just see what happens. And it might make you look at then your whole marketing strategy from a different angle, right?
Yeah. And I think just to add to that as well, Rach, I think we, for example, with Instagram, we've got really caught up on the aesthetics of how your grid looks, right? But I've really learned this year in particular that is important, because we've got a brand to uphold, right? And we are professionals, and we want our brand to come across, we want our energy to come across. And that is really important, especially from, you know, consistency perspective. But also sometimes we're human, right? We're business owners that are also human. So let's show the real Rebecca, the real Rach, and sometimes that does look like an ugly ad, or do you know what I mean? Like just being raw in your state, and that works really well on TikTok as well. So I do think we, you know, don't spend hours and hours in Canva trying to get every font and every color right.
Yeah,
you got a great idea, put it out there, just see how it does, and keep testing and refining as you go along.
Yeah. That's a great point, actually, because I think I sometimes come across like I hate Canva, because I'm always like bashing Canva and being like, don't be in Canva. And it's not that I hate Canva. I actually love Canva. It's a great tool. But I think that we as consumers, we as buyers, our audience have become numb. We've become blind to marketing. And so if something looks like an ad, we actually want to repel it. In fact, I gave some advice to one of my clients the other day, like, please, can you remove the logo from your posts? And she was like, but it's part of my brand. I was like, nobody's buying the brand, honey. Nobody is buying the brand. Nobody actually cares. We're not Apple, like we're not a Mercedes with a badge on the front. Like, that's not what we are. We're humans, and people buy from the human before they even care what your logo is. I doubt that many people even know what my official business name is. They don't care. Why would they? It's not really got anything to do with the result that I'm helping them to get. Like, would you agree? Do you see people like holding on to their brand when really they should just let it go?
Yeah, and you've just given a great example, because when I think about you, Ray, I don't think I want to talk to a sales queen, although you're a badass at that. I want to talk to Rach, because Rach is an amazing person with loads of great experience who can help me do better in where I'm trying to get to. And, I hope that's what my clients feel as well. Rebecca is really good at what she does. And yes, she has a company name, but I want to get in the room with Rebecca. I want to get in Rebecca's head and understand how she can help me to take my business to the next level through my marketing lens. So yeah, I do think that is important. I think it's potentially because we're in that era of personal branding and branding being a big thing. And it is part of your visibility strategy for sure, but just don't get too hung up on it. Make sure that you're serving your audience with the content that they want, and being really clear that you can help them with their challenge that they have. And like you always say, Rach, make sure they understand the journey and the transformation that you can take them on, and that's what they're buying into. They're not buying into the brand. Like you said, they don't want the logo.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. And I think even the word brand, the minute we say brand, I think people think of colors, websites, logos. That actually, anybody listening to this, I want you to reprogram your brain that brand equals feeling. That's what it is. Like, when I talk about my brand, what I'm really thinking about is the feeling that I evoke in somebody else. Like, I want them to have a feeling of confidence. I want them to have a feeling of certainty, a feeling of like excitement that what they hoped was possible for their business like really is. So I think, that's another important thing, is that brand, we're not saying don't have a brand. We're not saying don't have a website, don't have a logo. What we're saying is, don't get into Canva and be so caught up on the colors, the fonts, the logo in the top right corner that you don't then think about the hook and weaving in your personal story and thinking about the emotion of how you want your audience to feel when they read the post, because that's the most important part, is how they feel. Do you agree?
I totally agree. And actually, that's a really good example, Rose, because when you think about big brands, so my example would be the latest John Lewis advert, right? Mm-hmm. So actually, my husband was the one who'd seen it first, and it's I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a really good dance track. It takes the dad back into his nostalgia of being in a club, being young, and what that feeling is. But he actually gets quite emotional because it's the little moments, and his son bought it for him because his son is about to go off to university. He's on a new journey, and as parents, it's really hard for us to let our children go, right? So it was just an amazing moment, and it actually made both mine and my husband very emotional, because my son is in his GCSE year, right? So we're coming to that period, and so it really resonated with us. But I didn't think about John Lewis at the point. I thought about how the advert made me feel, and potentially I might want to go and buy a record or something for a loved one that I know is going to give them that nostalgia and that feeling. So they really are really good at honing in on the emotional side. So yes, we're not a massive big brand, but it's something that we can learn from them. Because they do it really well. Yes, we don't have massive budgets like they do to do amazing adverts like that, but the premise is there, right? How can you really connect with the human element of your audience.
Yeah. So for you as an experienced marketeer, you know that John Lewis and their agency have sat in a room and said, who do we want to sell to this Christmas? Who do we want to walk through our doors, to open our website, to, make orders to John Lewis? Who is that? And they've probably talked about you and your husband as being that like target market where they're like, yeah, maybe it's people with like kids who are GCSE level, like first year university. What's really going on for them? And they're like, oh, let's make it a special Christmas because our son's about to leave home soon.
Yeah.
And so they've done a really good job, of tapping into your brain.
Yeah, 100%. And also what I think they also probably were in that room doing, Rach, is going, actually, because of the teenage years, majority of the time he's in his room or in his on his phone, and he's consumed in his own little world, right? Whereas as parents, we're always trying to pull them out of that. And I would say that Christmas is one of those times when you hope everybody can be very present, leave the other stuff behind and really connect with each other, as much as possible, because he's going to go, but also it's just a time for family to get together and really be close.
Yeah. So if we take that John Lewis example and use that to give the listeners some like triggers and maybe some questions to journal on, I would say one of them would be to think about your ideal client at that part of their day, day or evening, that part of their week where the problem that they're experiencing is hurting. Yeah, like imagine your ideal client when that problem that they have is causing them stress, anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, whatever the emotions are, and think about those emotions. And then what I would say is like connect with a time when maybe you have felt that emotion, then when you have experienced a problem like that, or maybe when one of your other clients has told you that they have, and tell a story about it rather than just sort of prod and poke the pain point and being like, you're struggling and that feels hard. Like sometimes marketing on pain points can be disempowering, and that it can actually make the reader or the viewer think, oh yeah, that life's hard right now, I better just buckle up and sit tight. We don't want people to think that. We want people to see what's possible and that the change is possible. So I would say to really hone in on the emotion of the pain point and to think about stories that you can tell that allow your viewer or your reader, whoever they are, whether it's video, a carousel, a caption, whatever it is, it works in all the different ways that you might want to show up. Really tell a story that creates that connection. Yeah, like that would be one thing I would want our listeners to take from this. Can you do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, and I think that that's the engagement part, isn't it, Rachel? It's that thing of that pull of Rebecca or Rachel have really understood who I am and where I'm at this point. So I need to reach out to them and, connect and, have a conversation about potentially how they could help me. Because it's not just about, we want to send them somewhere and they buy something. We actually, especially as the type of individuals we are, we really care about our clients and we want to connect with them and help them overcome that anxiety, that whatever the emotion is, and really connect with us. So I think that is really important.
Yeah. Amazing. So I'm going to ask you something now. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this. Have you got a free gift that you would want to give to our listeners?
Oh, yes, I do. So I run a free Instagram audit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So basically, I'll have a look at your account and just have a look at, your name, your description, and just give you some pointers on, the best way to use your Instagram and to position it. So it's not, it's not a critique. It's just this, you're doing really well, but here are some great tips that you could take away to enhance it and make it even better. And let's, really nail it and make your Instagram the place that people come to and are like, oh yeah, I want to work with that person.
Amazing. Well, I mean, we all need that. I cannot tell you how many times I've changed my Instagram profile in the years that I've had an Instagram. Honestly, I think I must be on like version 172 because I feel like I change it that frequently because, you know, sometimes I change it because I feel different. Other times I change it because my audience feels different. And like, obviously, as I've grown and they've grown, the brand has grown, the message has grown, the stories have grown. And so, yeah, like, I don't think that if anybody's out there that hasn't ever changed their Instagram bio, then I think you need to take Rebecca up on that opportunity to have a review from somebody that's got an outside view, because sometimes we're so close to it that we don't even see the wood for the trees, do we?
We don't. You know, sometimes we're just too close to it and you can't think about the different ways or things you could do to enhance it. And I think, you know, sometimes you forget the little things, like you might not have a link to one of your offers or your products or your services on there. You think, oh, why didn't I put that on? Or, you know, something like your bio. It's really important to have certain keywords in there so people can find you when they're searching for you. So it's just really small adjustments and tweaks. And, you know, like you just said, Rach, we're always evolving as people. Our businesses are always evolving. So our online properties need to do the same. So it's not to say that it's wrong. It's just that let's optimize it. Let's, you know, make sure that it's aligned with your business values and where your business currently is.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for offering that gift. So for anybody that wants to take Rebecca up on that gift, I will get my team to remind me to add this into the show notes. So you're either going to find Rebecca's Instagram link below this episode so that you can just go straight over and message her. Or, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put it in the YouTube description. Okay. So we stream this on podcast and on YouTube. So we'll have it in all of the places. So I just want to finish up by saying thank you. Like, what a great conversation. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it?
I have. Thank you so much, Rach. It's been great. I mean, it's always great speaking with you, but that was, you know, because we're really aligned in a lot of areas. So no, that was great. And like you said, I hope everybody got some value from it. And if anybody has any questions, like Rach said, she'll put my information in. Please do reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for spending your time being here with me. And for those of you listening, if you're a regular listener, thank you so much for being loyal and coming back to the show. And if you're a brand new listener, if this is the first time that you have heard the Becoming an Online Sales Queen podcast, please do give us a like, leave us a review, go and tell your friends. If you've got any business besties that want to become an online sales queen, maybe they're struggling right now on lead gen, on visibility, on sales, on all the things, come and give the show a subscribe, or the YouTube channel a subscribe. It'd be lovely to have you back. So that's it for today. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you again, Rebecca. And bye for now.